Okay, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on when you listen to this slide presentation. So this is the Cisco CyberOps training. This is a Tier 1 SOC analyst training for cybersecurity experts or would-be cybersecurity experts. So it's a 28 module series, and we've looked at quite a lot from module 1 up to module 24. So today we're going to be looking at module 25, network security data. Now the question is, we need to be able to describe the types of data used in security monitoring, the elements of an end device log file. One thing you should be able to understand is that for every end device we have, for every type of data we have, we will have one form of log file or the other. If you're having a router, it has a log file. No matter the type of router, most routers will have a log file. So what type of security data do you have for you to be able to do your monitoring, make inferences from? If you have a cloud server, whether you're using Amazon Web Services or whether you're using Google Cloud Platform or whether you're using Windows Azure, whatever you're using, or you're using a regular hosting, you're using a regular website hosting, either a Linux hosting or a Microsoft hosting, understand that you're going to have a log file, whether it's a network device, whether it's a hardware device, even your Windows or your MacBook, right, have event monitoring, have log files for different activities happening. So this serves as your data that you're going to use to actually monitor past events, current events, and be able to help you to see what's going to be likely, what's going to likely happen in the future, and be able to help you make inferences. Describe the elements of a network device log file. You want to be able to do that. Types of security data. So you have alert data, session and transactions data, full packet captures, statistical data. Now, let me explain them one after the other. Alert data. For instance, if you're using Snort is an IDS, it's open source. Alerts are generated by Snort and are made readable and searchable by the Squirrel and Squat application, which are part of the Security Union suite of uh, the NSM tools, network security management tools. Now, Security Union it's an open source uh, network monitoring and event management suite. What it does is that you could download the free version from the Security Union project, their website, and implement it. So it has an IDS, so Snort, Kibana, and several other tools comes together with Security Onion. So you could implement it and monitor your network, all of the nodes on your network, and see what kind of data you have. So when you say alert data, messages that are generally generated by intrusion prevention systems, right? In the cyber breach course that we're going to be doing later on, we're going to be able to differentiate between what an alert is, what a breach is, what an incident is. So intrusion prevention system or intrusion detection systems, the way they respond to traffic that violates a rule or matches the signature of a known exploit is to throw up an alert. So it can be it's showing in red, giving more information about that kind of alert. So that's the kind of thing you want to watch out for if you're using any IDS or if you're using any security event management suite. Alert data, session and transaction data. So what do you call a session? So session data is a record of a conversation between two network endpoints. Look at session as timeline between 2 points. If I log into an app, if I log out, in between that space of time is a session, right? And most sessions are going to have timestamps. So they're going to carry data like what type of protocol, how is the connection being made, of course, is it encrypted, is it not encrypted, what packet of data was transmitted from point A to B. So IP address, of course, the destination port and IP address, source port, and IP address. So those data will help you make inferences. Because the goal is that if you have to provide security, logging is very critical. Like I've said earlier on, across your digital infrastructure, whether you're on cloud, whether you're mobile, look out for a way to have these data. Severally in my career, you get to have an issue. The quickest and fastest way to solve that issue or see why something happened is to check out for your log files. Whether it's a router, whether it's a website that you have, you get to the cPanel and check the log files. If it's a router, you check the log files. Because the way these devices are done in such a way that for every eventuality, there's always a record for it. So as forensic experts, as network security managers, one of the things you want to do is to go back to those log files and see what you have there so that you can now do more research on that and be able to fix what the issue might be. Of course, if you have clashes, um if you have suspicious behavior, if you have suspicious IP address and the rest, so you're able to make some correlation, see some relationship between what you have and what you have from your threat intelligence, and of course take action. Full packet capture. So here, this type of data we talked about, alert data, session and transactional data. Here you're trying to capture packets, right? Anything your layer 2, layer 3, I think layer 4, layer 5, even up to layer 7, you're able to capture it with basic software like Wireshark or Cisco Packet Analyzer, any of such that you prefer. The thing is that full packet captures are the most detailed network data that is generally collected. Imagine when you're capturing from layer 2, layer 1 is just your hardware, your Ethernet, your fiber optics, all of those hardware, whatever, your physical layer. From data link layer, from where you have your switch, up to your router, session, transport, up to your application level. HTML web pages, email messages. If you have stuffs in plain text, a full packet capture is going to be able to capture that. For instance, you throw up Wireshark at the beginning of the day, it captures everything within the network, data transmitting from your all of the endpoints to the edge routers up to your service provider. At the end of the day, you could stop the capture, save the file, and do analysis with those files. That is security data. Statistical data. So if you are using any suite that is majorly graphical and can plot one or two, especially for SolarWind Enterprise suites or the Cisco Cognitive Threat Analytics, right? Normally to plot most of these things for you. Pick up your users, the nodes you have in your network, be able to identify anomaly behavior using machine learning. Machine learning is has to do with data science. But over the years, of course, my first degree is mathematics. So over the years, I've gotten to see that mathematics, machine learning, of course, which is a subsect of computer, mathematics, and statistics, plays a great role in cybersecurity experts trying to identify what is an anomaly and what is not an anomaly. For instance, you would not be able to be on your device at every point in time. No. So security response, cybersecurity response have gone have started using AI. So AI is application of machine learning to whatever field. Of course, you have to talk about data science. So data science is when you're trying to make inference from data through plots, charts, right? And textual inferences. Then machine learning is where you're picking this analysis you've done, then you're trying to see patterns, see correlations, see either you have a uh, uh, logistics relationship, a linear relationship, or whatever kind of relationship that you can have. Once you're able to identify that, machine learning, depending on the algorithm you are using, there are several algorithms. You have K-means, you have Fourier, you have a linear, you have logistics, you have quite a lot, K-means. So these are machine learning algorithms. So what do you now call AI? AI is you've been able to identify some of these anomalies in your security infrastructure. How do you now apply that to now take action So AI is artificial intelligence. And the question is, what is artificial intelligence? Humans normally, if you are to monitor 1,000 systems, you have to check each system one after the other to be able to make decisions on what to shut down, what to isolate, what to do further forensics on. Where am I having a spike in traffic, blah blah blah, the rest. So you're doing everything manually. So the world has gone beyond that. The last 3 to 5 years, most security tools now employ machine learning and AI. So that is you being manual, you doing all of this stuff by yourself. And the question is, what is now machine learning? Sorry, what is now AI? So AI is artificial intelligence. So you want a software, you want a tool, you want a language, a program to be able to take these decisions by itself. That's why it's called artificial. It's not human intelligence. So, but the intelligence is drawn out of data from machine learning and out of data inferences from data science. So it goes like this. I'll not spend so much time here. It goes like this. You collect data, you do analytics, as data science, you do machine learning, you do AI. That's how it goes. You first collect data, do some basic analytics, then you do machine learning, of course. You now have it applied in most of these tools. AI. So most of these softwares and tools, they update their database, be able to learn. Machine learning is data learning to see patterns and trends, then be able to now take action because they now have intelligence. So they don't need you to stop an attack. End device logs. So you have host logs, you have it can be an error, it can be warning. The one you will not bother so much about, but you could consider working on when you're kind of less busy is informational. Then you have syslog. So if you have syslog, so this is just the hierarchy. So emergency, alert, critical, error, warning, notice, informational, and debug. Of course, priority is calculated by saying the facility times the severity, or rather by the amount to which you've assigned to that particular facility, then plus the severity, right? So the priority value is the first value in a packet and occurs between angled brackets. So in syslog, you see that when you have your reports from your Cisco routers and switches. So this is what it looks like for Apache for IIS. So this is um, like I said earlier on, if you are hosting your applications, you can decide to host it on either Apache, on Windows, Linux, or Windows. So Linux uses Apache, that's the default server, right? Whereas Windows uses IIS, I think Internet Information Server, right? So it uses this as its servers. So if you are hosting your website on a Windows hosting, which is a little bit much expensive, more expensive because the Windows operating system is not free, you're going to be hosting whatever you're doing on an IIS service or server. Whereas if you're hosting your website on a Linux hosting, you're going to be using the open source Apache server. So you want to make sure that you have logs for whatever you're doing. There are default logs. Whatever device you're using, whatever the hosting you're using, check out how do you get logs, and those logs are very nice information, security data for you to be able to stop an attack or learn about the happenings of your server. So for SAM, so SAM it's more enterprise. Like I said earlier on, you have above 3,000. Your budget should be above $3,000. So a SAM is more enterprise. It's more robust. It does a lot more. So instead of having a firewall software or device, you're having a host intrusion detection system. You're having a log system. You're having an incident management system. You have a lot of automation. And instead of having all of this scattered all over, you can spend the cash in just one device or one software. SolarWind is industry, Imperva, and several others. Of course, Fire. So log collections, normalization, correlation. So this is what I'm talking about. So this links log and events from disparate systems and applications, speeding detection of and reaction to security threats. So they must see some kind of relationship, some kind of correlation. So this is what a SERB looks like. A popular one is Splunk. So you could see, let me zoom this a bit. So you have some threat dashboard. So you see the spikes that you have, host timeout, manual event record. So it's a nice way for you to see what's happening within your network. So you could easily respond without having to go on each system and the rest. Network lock. So TCP dump does an act like Wireshark. So Wireshark is the GUI built on top of TCP dump. So if you're on Linux, you want to use something that looks like Wireshark, you can run the TCP dump utility. NetFlow. So this is what NetFlow looks like. Application visibility and control. So this is a Cisco proprietary system. Same thing with this application recognition. So this is what it does. Metric collection is what it does. Management and reporting, it does this. Control, it does this. So what we are saying is that you have just one tool, one application doing a whole lot. So it's more business sense, but you should have that budget to implement such. Okay, content filter logs. That is the ESA and WSA. These are Cisco devices, right? They are hardware devices. So they also are security appliances that can help protect your infrastructure. Okay, so proxy logs. Same thing with this. Next generation firewall. So they can be quite um uh, going to cost you cash, but for large enterprise, is a way to go. Next generation or next gen firewall device extend network security beyond IP address and layer 4 port numbers to the application layer and beyond. So don't forget that I said there are some security measures that you're going to implement just at your layer 2, some at layer 3, and layer 4. So if you have something that can um, protect all of your layers, right, it's something you want to consider. We just got a request from an institute, is a university. They needed something that is going to do bandwidth monitoring and do some kind of packet filtering for the university. Of course, you have thousands of students. So we did propose one of the Cisco devices and also one of the Microtik devices, cloud devices. The goal is that if you don't want to spend cash in using softwares, because most of the softwares are yearly, some they have a different fee for live access, like FireEye, like Imperva, like SolarWinds. Most of these softwares are going to give you a yearly fee. Then if you want a live option, you pay for that. You have opportunity to do all of your updates. So if you can see, depending on what your um investment in security is. So most of the times in cybersecurity, we talk about return on security investment. Why business people would say return on investment. So we don't just say ROI. So there's a security part of our returns on investment, return on security investment. So depending on what your goals are, that will now determine whether you want to choose a next generation firewall or you want to choose the same or you want to have a combination.
Okay, so that will be all for network security data. Don't forget, this applies to both your network, your cloud, your web application. Look out for where you can have data, whether it's transactional, whether it's alert data, right? Whether it is log data. Look out for this data. Look at those files. For me, for instance, when I create web applications or implement systems, hardware network systems, I try as much as possible to see how to make sure that I have log files logged and sent to my email. For instance, for most Cisco devices, you can do that. You can schedule log files to be sent to your email. For websites, Sukuri does that a lot. If you use either if you run your software using PHP, using Python, using popular CMS like WordPress, you can be able to set up Sukuri alerts, right? Those alerts are very critical in helping you understand what is happening within your IT infrastructure. So most of the times I'll even create a separate mail. For instance, if I have the name of a company called blah blah blah.com. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a separate email, maybe something like security at blah blah blah.com, and make sure I channel all of the logs to that particular file. So weekly, monthly, from time to time, I go back to those emails to go and see several things. So one of the kind of things you're going to be seeing, depending on what you decided you want to log, because Sukuri, for instance, will give you that option. You want to log things like changes to file, logins, several things. All of the options are there. So whatever you indicate that you want to log, you have that, and it's always good that you check that from time to time. Thank you very much. So this is going to be the end of the module 25, network security data. Thank you very much. Don't forget to log on to Cisco LMS and read up your notes, take your quiz, and prepare for your exam. Thank you very much and see you in the next module.